This video is just going to talk about packet switching. It's applicable for obviously networking, GCSE, or indeed probably A level as well. So we might have a network like this. So all of these things are routers. So I've called this one router A and router B, but then we've got R2, R3, R1, lots of different routers. And if we imagine that the network is larger, so obviously this is indicating that this is going off somewhere else to another part of a network. So this sort of packet switching is usually used on a large network like the internet. So the internet is a collection of networks that are joined together, and the idea of packet switching and these protocols, TCP and IP, are that we can use the large network in order to transport a message from one place to another. The initial idea of packet switching, there's some controversy as to who invented it, whether it was the National Physics Laboratory in the UK or whether it was the Defence Advanced Research Projects Agency in America, but essentially they were both trying to solve the same problem, and that problem was what happens if part of the network is broken. How can we still make sure the message gets there? And one of the answers to that was this idea of packet switching and using TCP, transport control or transmission control protocol, and IP, internet protocol. So if we've got a message like this one, where we've got a whole message, we've split it up into packets. So TCP splits up a message into different packets, and these packets are a fixed size, so even if there's only a tiny bit of information left on one for packet 4, it's still going to form a packet to send. So our sending computer is going to have an IP address, and our receiving computer will also have an IP address, and these of course could be part of a local area network as well. So TCP splits into packets, and then we're going to send those packets across, in our case, to router A. And then router A is going to find a route using internet protocol, IP, through the network. So router A knows where router 2 is, and it knows where router 1 is because they're connected to it. It doesn't know where router 5 is, it doesn't know where router 4 is, and it doesn't know router B, which is attached to the network where our receiver is. It only knows where R2 and R1 is. So if it sends packet 1 this way towards router 2, that's fine. It can do that. Router A doesn't know where router B is, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't know where router 2 is. It knows where router 1 is. And it's going to send the packets one at a time to either router 2 or router 1. Now, if this lane is busy, it might decide it's better to try sending it to router 2. So maybe it's going to send packet 2 this way, and perhaps packet 3 will go this way, and packet 4 will go this way as well. So we're going to send these packets off. Router 2 here, again, we're using IP here, and we're going to say we know where R3 is, we know where R5 is, we know where router A is, but the message came from router A, so it's not going to send it back to router A. It knows it has to go somewhere else. So packet 1 is going to send on here to router 3. Let's say it's still going with packet 3, but maybe packet 4 it decides it's going to send this way because perhaps this lane became busy. And it doesn't know the quickest route yet to get to router B. So packet 2 here has come to router 1, which could send to router 7 or router 5. So let's say that it also goes this way. Router 3 has got packet 1. Router 3 is connected to other parts of the network, or router 4. So it's going to send it here to router 4. And number 3, because that's the only one it's connected to, it knows where router 4 is in this particular part of the network. Router 5 holds packet 4 and packet 2, so we're going to send those off to router 6 in this case, Now router 6 knows where router B is, and that's where we're looking for the IP address of this router and this network. So we're going to send the packets off to it. And router 4, it knows where router B is, so it's going to send the packets off to it like this. So we then receive the packets, and we've got 1, 4, 2, 3. There they are. They've come in a different order to what they were sent because they went by a different route, but TCP is then going to reorder them. So they've got a packet number, so it's going to reorder them 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if one of these packets happened to go missing, so let's say packet 2 didn't arrive and it went missing, perhaps packet 2 went to router 5 and then router 5 sent it to 7 and router 7 sent it to router 1 and router 1 knew not to send it back to router A, so it sent it to 5 and 5 kept sending it to router 7. It could happen, it's potential. The packet could go round in a circle. If it did that, it would never get to its destination. So TCP/IP packets have something called a hop count, and every time it goes to a different router, we add 1 to the hop count plus 1 onto it. When the hop count gets to a certain level, we know there's been a problem, and that packet just gets destroyed. So at this end, packet 2 didn't arrive. So TCP is going to send a message back to the sender, and it will send a message back saying, I've got packet 1, I've got packet 4, I've got packet 3. These are called acknowledgement messages, ACK. Sometimes they're reduced to acknowledgement messages. So it said we've got those. When that gets back to the sender, it knows that there's a missing packet, it didn't get packet 2, so it's going to send that again. So TCP guarantees delivery. It's a guaranteed delivery protocol. So it asks for packets that have not been received, asks for them to be resent, or at least it acknowledges the ones that have been received, and at the other end it knows which ones are then missing. So TCP is involved in breaking up the message, sending the message off to the first router, reassembling the message at the other end, whereas IP is just involved in routing. So the IP protocol does the routing. So that's finding a way through the network. So the clever thing about IP routing is that we don't need to know where every single node is on the network, and there could be thousands. We don't need to know where all those nodes are. We just need to know what's connected directly to our router. So if R1 is connected to R5 and R7 and router A, then that's all that R1 needs to know. It doesn't need them to know the rest of the network, which is why these protocols are so clever. So we've got transport or transmission control protocol, TCP. We've got IP, internet protocol. So IP uses IP addresses to find where something is or to route something, but IP protocol is a different idea to an IP address. So an IP address is a numbered location of a resource on the internet. So it could be 127.4.2.100 or something like that, and that's going to point us to a resource or a website that's on the internet, whereas IP protocol is involved in routing packets. Okay, so that's just a bit of an introduction to the idea of packet switching and how that works across a network.